Yes, it's time, super paint time.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today on the first episode of Super Paint Time. We are going to be working on a beautiful image from Princess Mononoke that really stuck with me. It's a personal favorite of mine, and it's going to be so fun tackling it. So let's begin. Okay, so what I'm doing here is setting a foundation. I'm using 3 different shades of green. There's a stump, a rock, a couple mounds of grass, and a tree there. So right there, I'm just filling it in, and this is what I'm going to use kind of as an anchor point, because the rest of the painting is mostly just atmospheric blue. Once this gets knocked out, it's a lot more feasible for the mind. So there's the finished product, and then the thing right there is what I just did in the previous clip. So you can see the rest of it's pretty atmospheric, so we'll move on to the next part of the time lapse. So the way I worked this painting was in pieces, first starting with the middle ground. Now I moved into the foreground with the highlights of the water, which I'm doing right there. And then from there I moved into the foreground, which is essentially the reflections on the water from the stones and shrubbery and such. And then here's the filling up the depth of the water, leaving the highlights bare, but now you can see that they're getting brushed in to acclimate them more naturally to the light. And filling in the rest of the foreground there. Get a bigger sense of completion, just filling in little itsy bitsy spaces, reaffirming certain areas right there. So here I'm working the beams of light in the background. My approach for this one was to kind of make just solid blocks of where the light is and where the dark is, and then after those have been mapped out, blend it in with a wider brush. So here I'm still kind of mapping out the darker areas right up there. Using a dark green, bluish gray mixture for the background, because in the background there actually is a rock face that's will be added in later when it's ready for the details aspect of the painting. And see there, I'm smoothing out the beams of light. You can see them starting to appear more natural looking. You can see there. Now they have a kind of the actual beam of light feel. Again, that's just kind of smoothing it out. It doesn't have to look like that immediately. It's not supposed to look like that immediately, so trust the process, you know. And they're just adding more depth to the water. You can always reapply thinner layers of paint mixed with Gamsol, and I'll always add another layer of paint to the painting. Finishing up the leaves there. Have the whole painting filled in about now, so you can get a good sense of where it needs to go in terms of details or whatnot. So here's the painting in its resting state right now. I think the beams of light turned out pretty good. The middle ground was super fun to tackle, and overall it was just a very nice experience. If you wanted to go further with this, you could add depth and more darkness to the background in the water, shadows on the stump in the tree and the rock, add little foliage things. But other than that, thank you guys for joining me, and have a wonderful day.